Hello, Parag, welcome. Hello. हॅलो मोहनजी, माझा आवाज येतोय?
Yes, yes, yes. I'm able to hear you.
हॅलो.
Yes, I'm able to hear you.
हॅलो.
Hello, I'm able to hear you.
मोहनजी, आवाज येतोय माझा?
Yes, yes, येतोय. Hello. Hello. Able to hear you. Hello. Hello.
Hello, good afternoon. This is Parag Deoras here.
Good afternoon, Parag. How are you?
Good, good, good. How are you doing?
Good. Excellent, excellent, excellent. Rajendra ji? Hello. Rajendra ji,
मोहनजी, good evening.
yeah. Good evening. Parag has joined.
Hello, Rajendra ji. Good afternoon. Good evening. Can you hear me?
Rajendra,
Can you hear
I
me?
am Parag. I am able to hear you. Rajendra ji, are you able to hear both of us?
Yes, 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 yes.
Great.
Yeah,
great,
I cannot
great.
see you all because my video has been stopped by the
It
host.
will.
That's what.
No, it will start. It will start.
Okay, good.
Yeah, it will start.
No, just trying to ensure that the video, audio, the connections
Yeah.
are good.
True, true.
So, how's the situation in Pune?
Yes, sir. Wonderful, wonderful.
Good. Friday, Saturday is also working, right? Normally in most of the businesses, right, in Pune,
Yes,
because
yes, yes.
the industrial off is still on Wednesday or Thursday, is it?
It's Thursday and Sunday, both. Some
Thursday and Sunday
industries are, no, even not both. For industries, it is Thursday.
Right.
But for offices, it is Sunday.
It's Sunday. Yeah.
Parag, you can on your video now. Just check once.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Rajendra ji, even I am not able to open my video. Yeah, I am able to see Parag now.
Can you see me now?
Yes.
Yes.
I'm just trying to adjust my camera and my laptop.
Yeah, please.
So that,
Rajendra ji, even my video, you will have to start.
No, you can just on your video now.
No, I'll just try. It was not opening.
just a moment. I'll just put off the light. Then
It's on.
Yeah, now I think it is on. Thank you.
Can you see me better now?
Yes.
Right. Okay.
Great. So right now I think it is around 3:30 in Eindhoven.
Yes, 3:17.
And season right now is close to.
Yeah, I mean, see, we are into now winter, right? Because October, So what's happening now is the weather is, completely variable because in the morning we had very good sun. Now it's
Okay.
again cloudy. It's going to rain,
Okay.
and the temperatures are going up to 8, up to 5
Okay.
early morning. So we are into a winter spree now, right? So it should. We are expecting an intensive winter. That's what they say.
Oh, I
I
see.
don't know. I don't know.
I see.
But yeah.
I mean, the COVID situation there at your location?
Netherlands, the situation is not good because if you compare our situation in June, April
Yeah.
the lockdown started and then June, so there are few cases per day, in terms of hundreds but now it's really in thousands.
Oh, I see.
So when they measure that the R ratio is almost about 1.3, right? The contagious index.
Okay.
So which means that the one person is, on an average infecting so many people, right? So that's how they calculate. So that's very high now. So the
Okay.
government wants to bring it to less than 1. We are at about
Okay.
1.3 now.
Okay.
And then if you take an average of our cases, then we are almost about 250 per 100,000 people. And say Spain is 350 or Czechoslovakia is 350. So we are in top 5 in terms of number of cases, but we don't have to get anxious because we have enough capacity of hospital beds,
Okay. So,
enough testing capacity, but we are expecting a second wave in winter, definitely.
oh, I see.
So the Prime Minister is thinking of, he has closed the borders now because a lot of people are coming from Belgium, Germany, here and there.
Okay.
He is making masks compulsory now.
Okay.
So we have, so it's not good. It's not good to answer you.
Oh, I see.
Again, everything boils down to social distancing and our behavior.
But again, still partial lockdown is on, or people are.
No. There is no lockdown, but he has put a ration on in a number of people you can invite. For instance, if I have to invite somebody for dinner, I cannot invite more than 3 adults.
I see.
Yeah, if you're going into a shop, then you have to have masks on. The shops will follow their protocol of, coming one by one or
Oh, I
limiting the
see.
number of people inside the shop. So all those controls are started. Restaurants are supposed to close by 10 o'clock.
Okay.
So if you have to go to a restaurant, then you have to really reserve a time slot and you have to finish your dinner in that time slot.
But the discipline is maintained by the citizens.
Yeah. No, people are following, because otherwise,
Yeah.
it's not a fear of the disease. It's the whole surrounding environment, right? 14, 15
True.
days quarantine. You cannot meet anybody, right? All
True.
those are big hassles.
True.
But overall, how is the situation there? I mean, it's well in control because the
Yeah.
population is less.
See, it's a small country, right? And
Correct, correct.
the number of cases are because youngsters are getting COVID now. They are recovering. So fatality or mortality is low, but everybody's getting now. Even youngsters are getting.
True.
And then they just make them. The doctors don't want to see them. Doctors say, don't even come. If it really is not life threatening, then just be at your home, and be quarantined and recover yourself. So that's another problem because you cannot just go to the
Yeah,
doctor and ask for medicine and things like that.
true.
Yeah,
So that's
I mean,
something strange. I mean, the world has seen.
yeah,
Honestly.
absolutely.
Yeah, I mean,
That's why it is called black swan event, right? It's just
mm-hmm.
unpredictable.
True,
It has completely put everything out of gear,
True.
true,
True.
true.
right? So I mean, businesses are down. You see the airline industry now. Airline
Yeah,
industry
it's all. I mean, travel,
all in.
airlines.
And with US and worldwide, so much of stimulus is being pumped into the economy. At some point of time, these corporates will have to bear the brunt, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because the fiscal deficit, for instance, you might have read in the papers now, the US economy, the fiscal deficit is more than the economy.
True.
Yeah, that's true.
It's
Even in.
three and
Mhm.
a half trillion. And
Yeah.
US is the largest dominating economy, right? So
Yeah, true.
every economy is going to get the brunt of it.
Absolutely.
So it's a rosy picture now because there is a lot of cash in the business, it's stimulus, money coming in, but the demand is not picking up. The capacities are not full, especially in the manufacturing sector, right?
True.
People don't want to buy things. Consumption is reduced. Nobody wants to buy things now, right? Why should,
True.
if there's no consumption, it is going to have an impact, but it's again a time lag. So we think that at least for next year, till July, nothing is going to I mean, in
Next
terms of
year,
economy.
July, you meant to say.
Yeah. No,
Next
no. I
year,
mean, in
July.
terms of the economy, even slight momentum, they said till July, just forget. Just continue with the stimulus, continue with restructuring, continue with cost down, continue with controls. Don't expect economy to, so, so it's
Actually, the few things, maybe I cannot generalize, but
yeah,
some of my own associates in Gujarat, customers, they have been given a good amount of jobs by the countries from Europe. And, people are, I think, diverting from China to India. That trend is happening, I think, Parag.
absolutely, absolutely. See, there is still a very, very anti-China sentiment.
Exactly.
Of course, US was the first, India was the second, but even in Europe now,
Yeah.
with Angela Merkel and Germany, and the way the relations are shaping up now, there is a lot of anti-element, anti-sentiment, you can say, against China.
True.
Now the question is, definitely India stands a good chance. I'm completely confident because I was just talking to my Chinese colleague a
Yeah.
few days ago. They say China manufacturing sector is completely busy, overloaded. Can you imagine?
Oh,
Oh,
I see.
They are into a situation which is pre-COVID situation. The
My
entire
goodness.
manufacturing sector is full. They are being spurred by so much of demand within the country.
But where they are selling?
Within the country, the
Within the country.
economy is
Okay.
economy is
Okay.
coming back to normal. So he says we don't have capacity.
My
We don't
goodness.
have capacity. The manufacturer, I say in general, we are talking. So we didn't talk about specific sector.
True.
So what happens now is that the economy is going to come back to normal. It is going to get boomed up in China. The
Hmm.
domestic demand, domestic consumption is very big. See, if you see now this holiday, what they had in first week of October, the holiday they have, the golden week or whatever they call it, right? People are just left and right traveling in China.
True.
So India stands a chance, but I'll tell you, I was talking to the business from where I came from, to some of my colleagues, and they were telling me they were taking business out of India and putting it in Europe. So I asked them why. They say India, we are not confident of two things. One is the COVID stuff. The situation is alarming. Still, workers are not coming back to work. The capacities are not fully, utilized because there are no manpower. And then
Oh,
the
I see.
second part is the whole logistics chain with India.
True.
Now, I mean, he was just talking, so I said, why are you taking back the business to, he says, we don't want to rely on uncertainty. So we will just wait for the situation to improve. Now, I don't know what is driving their business back to Europe and not to China and back to US, but some of the comments which I heard were like that they're afraid that they say still the manufacturing sector has not come back to normal because of COVID, alarming situations, lockdowns, controls. So, so it's just a mixed reaction. I would say just a anxiety and reaction
True.
rather
True.
than, yeah,
My goodness.
yeah,
So
yeah,
there's every coin has two sides.
yeah, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. So
My
Mohan,
goodness.
are you joining from the office or?
No, no. Right now, I am now joined from home only.
Achha, okay.
Yeah, because it's already now around 7 o'clock. So
Yeah,
I
yeah.
have
That's why I
joined.
said, yeah, it's
Yeah,
quite
yeah,
late, huh,
yeah,
for you,
yeah.
for the
Yes,
people.
yes, yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
so
yeah.
And here in Pune, actually, it is dropping down since last 1 week. The COVID
Yeah.
cases have drastically dropped down,
Okay. Very
and
good.
people are back to normal. And still, yes, there are problems with some MSMEs sectors, but
Yeah.
the corporate sectors are in full swing. Like Vedanta, Aditya Birla, Reliance,
Yeah, yeah,
they are all in full swing. But they will have the what do you call the input cost pressure.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, there is severe pressure, and people are renegotiating.
Yeah, see, all contracts would get opened up, right?
Yeah, because of this kind of force majeure, one can say.
Exactly, exactly. So everybody, and
Yeah,
then now they will command power, they will force suppliers and service sector to, to reopen the contracts.
yeah,
Uh, I was talking to one of the guys of Lever, and last week, and he was telling me, he says, uh, see, that's a FMCG business, right? So he was telling me that earlier we used to, we used to base our forecast, forward-looking forecast based on 3 years history.
Yeah, that's right.
Now he says, if I open up my books, that 3-year history has no meaning. So I just take last 4 weeks forecast
Mm,
and go for forward looking.
true.
Because he says that now the focus is more on agility, because he says, I don't want a forecast accuracy of 80%, 90%, which I used to really demand from sales guys. The planning used to go to sales guys to demand for forecast accuracy, because he says that
True.
accuracy has no meaning. Now, how speedily I can turn around my business, I can change my business model to the external environment and service my customer. That is of essence. So I
True.
don't care for forecast accuracy. I care
True.
for flexibility. I care for agility. I care for resilience.
Yeah.
So you see the whole corporate language now
Yeah.
is completely changing.
Yeah.
It's completely changing. I mean,
Absolutely.
they say, because they don't know whether the second wave will come, third wave will come, when the vaccine will get developed. Uh, you know,
Total
so
uncertainty. Yeah.
exactly, it's completely uncertain, right? So,
That's what.
it was a very good conversation. He was saying, he says, I'm just
Yeah.
thinking 4 weeks further, not more than that. Uh, so, and for a kind of business which Unilever is in, huh? I mean, you
Yeah.
see, it's a quite steady business. It's quite healthy business. But
Absolutely.
he says it's like that. It's just that's the reality.
Yeah. Yeah.
So Arise is doing a lot of good things, huh? Rajendra
Yeah,
sir.
yeah, 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 true.
I think Rajendra ji, you can start few points
Yes,
saying.
Yeah,
yes.
I'm really
Maybe.
impressed with your motto, right? Your inspiring movement, right? You're driving the
True.
inspiring leadership
Inspiring India
and
movement. Inspiring India
is
movement.
fantastic catchword.
See, in fact, we proudly call ourselves as a new age chamber of commerce.
Ah,
Because most of the chamber of commerces, if you see, they are grievances platforms. I
yes,
mean, they just pick up the issues of entrepreneurs and put it up to government, and then provide, try for solution and come back to entrepreneurs. ये किया है हमने. But what we thought कि instead of depending on government completely, the support system will be there. Government is a pattern of businesses in the country. But
yeah,
what we thought, ki, why can't we come together and do something for ourselves? I
right,
mean, that can be a vital, you can say, activity that we can do. We can come together. We can see our strengths. Like Amul, the brand in India, if you see, the farmers came together and created that brand.
yeah,
So MSMEs fighting their individual battles. We thought, why not we can come together, at least develop some product. May not be all will be in the same league, or they will fly together. But there will be 5-10 birds who can come together, make something, and definitely grow together.
yeah,
And looking at them, people will follow.
yeah.
And
Rajendra ji is taking a lot of efforts on
No,
all these
absolutely.
things.
That's
Yeah.
see, you're bringing a very important characteristic here, right? I mean, and everything Rajendra, see, as you are also in psychology and the behavioral patterns, etc., right? Everything is people, right? Everything is
true,
people.
true, true.
And now that conflict and competition in between businesses, that is bygone now.
Hmm.
Now the businesses are more collaborating, and the post-COVID scenario will be more of collaboration, coming together on a standard platform, sharing, learning, influencing each other, supporting each other. So because the whole digital focus is on collaborative model, right? On cross-functional model, right? How do you really drive transformation, change management, change of mindset, right? So if you really see this kind of institutions like Arise or whatever may, right? They are really required to bring these people together
True.
to get them drive a common portfolio, right? And the portfolio is the purpose for which the businesses are existing, and then profitability and top line and bottom line, etc., come later on, right? But the basic purpose of existence and sustenance, right, is becomes very important. uh,
True,
and uh,
true.
and that's why I was just reading about Arise, and as in the morning, I was quite impressed with the kind of
I
uh,
think a
There
few
are some
other
trustees who have joined.
trustees.
Srinivas
So
is
we'll,
there. Mr.
okay.
Gopal Oza is
Srinivas,
there.
you can introduce yourself.
Hello, Mr. Srinivas. Good afternoon, good evening to you. I'm Parag Deoras here.
Srini, your audio is mute.
Yeah, even Mr. Gopal is there.
Gopal, you can open your audio.
So this is your leadership team, right, Rajendra ji? So,
Yes,
Yes,
good
yes,
evening,
yes,
sir. Good
yes,
evening, Parag,
yes.
sir.
good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon, good evening, sir.
Yes, yes. Gopal Oja this side.
Hello, Mr. Gopal.
Yes.
Gopal is also a wonderful entrepreneur, very young and dynamic.
Okay, okay.
We are all working like
All are business people, not big people.
no, not big, but yeah, we are all working together as friends. We are working together as
Right,
brothers.
right.
Yeah. And Shrini is
Yeah.
also Shrini. You can talk to Parag. Are you
Srini
able
is
to?
one of our, Sachin Tendulkar's or,
Sachin,
Virat
exactly.
Kohli.
Hello, Mr. Srinivas. Srinivas Chowdhury, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes.
Yeah,
I
yeah. Good
think,
afternoon to you. I'm Parag Deoras here. Very happy to see you and meet you.
I think he
And
has to, he has to just come on the.
I think they are on mute. I think they're on
Yeah,
mute.
yeah, yeah. True, true.
Yeah.
Bipin Shet, he is also one of the very energetic candidate. Bipin Shet,
Acha.
you
Good
can.
afternoon, Mr. Bipin Sheth.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Nice to have you here.
We
Yeah,
have
we
one,
are looking forward to hearing to you, sir.
Rajendra ji, we have one VIP friend, by the way, until we start officially. We have Kaustubh Gokhale. He is Parag's and my friend.
Okay.
So,
So has he joined?
KC can you, yeah, he has joined. Kaustubh,
Good
can
afternoon,
you?
KCG. No, I cannot see KCG here on the.
I am able to see KCG. Ek minute.
Yes, yes. He's there. He's
Oh,
there.
yeah. We can see. Hi, good afternoon, KCG.
Kaustubh, you can unmute and talk. You can talk.
Hello, good afternoon. How are you all?
Hi, KC. Good afternoon.
Hi, Parag. Nice, nice. Hope I'm sure this is going to be an interesting chat.
Thank
Yeah,
you, sir.
true.
KCG is also KCG. You can tell him, na? KCG was present for KCG. You were present for which event?
Yeah, one of the events that happened in that Aund area, no, that one.
Night of Truths. Night of Truths.
Yes, I was there.
KCG, let me tell you, KCG is one of the very, very staunch promoter and supporter of supply chain resiliency. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I have had a lot of interaction with him. Initially, when I was developing this topic, so he's very passionate also on this.
So I take the opportunity now to begin the program.
Yeah, please.
Okay,
I
sir.
see Dr. Yogesh Pawar also joining. Welcome, Dr. Yogesh Pawar. Yogesh ji is our chairman. Arise.
Hello,
Welcome,
sir.
Yogesh ji.
Good afternoon. Parag Deoras here.
Good afternoon, Parag ji. How are you doing?
I'm doing excellent. How are you, sir?
Absolutely fine. Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you very much for joining, accepting our
Thanks for your time. Appreciate for
now,
inviting me.
Since Yogesh ji has joined, I will declare that Parag and Yogesh ji and Rajendra, all three of you, we are all contributing to history. We are creating history today because somebody on the Arise platform is joining from out of India. I think we all deserve big cheers and big thumbs up.
Oh, thanks a lot.
So we are creating a history, sir, here, Yogesh ji.
Absolutely right. Absolutely.
Yogesh ji is a man behind us, a very dynamic entrepreneur, very energetic and very innovative ideas.
So I take this opportunity now
Yes, please.
to begin because we are bang on time. I think 4 minutes late, and Dr. Yogesh will not like it. So I'll I'll just begin the program, the event. To start, I'll brief about Arise in a couple of sentences. Arise, as I was discussing with Mr. Deoras, is a new age chamber of commerce. It's a chamber of commerce which takes proactive steps, which comes forward with the entrepreneurs and adds value to their businesses. It's not a kind of a complaint box. We take 2 steps ahead, go along with the entrepreneurs and value add to their businesses. We call it a new age chamber of commerce. It's a Section 8 company formed by alumni of SIL, School of Inspirational Leadership, which is a business consulting company. It is for the entrepreneurs, of the entrepreneurs, and by the entrepreneurs. Its programs like TechTalk, Night of Truths, Arise Recovery Clinic, they show that we have a different path. We have a different path which is not traditional, a proactive path, a way forward, of the other organizations that are working. Coming forward, start our event, we start our evenings with national anthem. And I'll request everyone to get up, to stand up at their places when we start our national anthem. Just give you 1 minute.
नायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता, पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड उत्कल बंगा, विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि तरंगा, तव शुभ नामे जागे, तव शुभ आशीष मांगे, गाहे तव जय गाथा, जन गण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता, जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे।
भारत माता की
Hey.
So as a part of our evening, as a part of the tradition that we follow, we'll go for national oath, arise oath, arise pledge that we take every evening. And I will request Dr. Yogesh Pawar to give us that oath. Give me 1 minute. I'll share the screen with you now. Dr. Yogesh, can you see the screen?
Yes, I can.
Please, sir, give us the oath.
Thank you very much, everybody. Good evening and welcome to our Tech Talks. We are here to start our pledge now. I'm responsible human being,
I am
I'm
responsible
responsible human being,
ready to support, share and collaborate.
ready to support, share and collaborate.
I will be honest in my actions towards everyone.
I'll be honest in my actions towards everyone.
I will enjoy my journey
I'll enjoy my journey
with large heart and tolerance
with large heart and tolerance
towards Arise community and society.
towards
Arise community and society.
I will establish entrepreneurial brotherhood
I'll
Establish entrepreneurial brotherhood
to strengthen my country and humanity.
to strengthen my country and humanity.
Jai Hind.
Jai Hind. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Now, moving forward in the evening, I would like to introduce our chairman, Dr. Yogesh Pawar. Before words of advice from him, Dr. Yogesh Pawar is an entrepreneur, author, and a trusted advisor to business leaders and entrepreneurs. He has dedicated his life to helping leaders seek clarity and build tolerance to achieve their desired vision. Executing various business roles in multinational companies and traveling almost the entire globe, he focuses on developing and creating behaviors and habits in leaders that create an impact in the marketplace. He believes that right people, right strategy, right execution, and right cash can dramatically change the fate of the organization. He is founder of School of Inspirational Leadership, SIL, a business consulting company, which is lovingly called as Indian McKinsey for MSMEs. Through SIL, Yogesh has been instrumental in transforming more than 300 companies by his Midas touch. These heart-touching stories which you can experience on SIL YouTube channel. He is the chairman of Association of Rising and Inspiring Syndicate of Entrepreneurs. Yogesh has his master's degree in transactional analysis from ICTA Kochi. His PhD in predictive psychology from Mumbai University. I'll request Dr. Yogesh Pawar to guide us and tell us about his thoughts about TechTalk and his vision behind Arise. Over to Dr. Yogesh ji.
So first of all, thank you very much for the warm welcome, and I see the love behind it. I'm sure this has been drafted by you because this is new this time. So, every time he tries to create something, and I tell him, मैं जो हूँ वैसे रहूँगा, कुछ भी बोल दो, कुछ नहीं होने वाला. So yeah, thank you very much, Rajendra, for doing that. Parag ji, welcome once again.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Appreciate.
We are a group of focused individuals, is what I can call. The businesses that we have are aspiring, look into future, and probably trained. So that's the difference as an organization that we have of Arise. I think the fire is at the bottom of the pyramid is learning, and that's the whole goal, that you create more awareness, and subjects like yours probably need a lot of traction in the new normal. And I'm so happy that you accepted. Once again, kudos to Mohanji to get all these gems to Arise. And every time when we conduct these sessions, Paragji, I see more spark coming out of people, because it is as simple as that. I mean, I have a firm belief awareness can change. I mean, awareness
Absolutely.
leads to change, right? So and consistent awareness will create confirmed change. So it's not
Absolutely.
about in India. You're an Indian, and I'm sure you've heard this. It is not about creating the soda bottle effect.
Correct.
It is about consistency. It's about persistence to do something. So I think the whole ethos of Arise is to build a community which is large-hearted, which is a learning community, and consistently wants to grow, make a positive impact at the society that they are in. So it doesn't matter whether you're having a 10 people team or a 100 people team, but you are able to make an impact at wherever you are.
Correct.
And I'm sure that spectrum goes on and improves. That's the whole goal of Arise. With various events, TechTalk is actually Rajendra's baby. And he said that, sir, our entrepreneurs would need a lot of advice and guidance on technology. And that's when the entire brainstorming started. I think this is the 4th session that we conducted. The first 3 sessions also went a lot of meaningful. We had AI experts coming in. We had, we had data sciences guys coming in. We had big data guys coming in. So the exposure that is required for entrepreneurs at the SME segment to look global, to feel global, to think global, and still behave local and be local at heart is extremely, extremely important. But that thought process, that intelligence will only come from people as calibered as you. And I'm sure my entire community, why do I call my community, is because I feel this is my family. And I'm sure with this feeling of brotherhood, all of us will keep growing. So that's the thought that all is always there. And all the best to you. I'm so happy once again that you are here, because wisdom is seen on paper, wisdom is seen on smile, wisdom is seen on face, and that's how it all makes difference. So my education helps me understand that aspect of life when I interact with humans. So thank you so much for coming in. It is a privilege that you are supporting and contributing to the community. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Yogesh. Thanks for your words. Now it's a time now for the hero of the event, hero of the evening, a tech talk, a tech guru who has global experience. And I will not take honor of introducing him, because I have a very good friend of Mr. Deoras, Mr. Mohan Anturkar, and I'm sure he's eager to introduce him because he knows him from long time. He's a good friend of Mr. Mohan Anturkar. So I'll request Mr. Mohan Anturkar, pillar of Arise, to introduce our chief guest, Mr. Deoras.
Thank you, Rajendra ji. I am extremely delighted to introduce Parag. Parag is my friend, I think, since last more than 34 years. Parag?
Yes.
So Yogesh ji was just 6 or 7 by that time. Am I right, Yogesh? So
I was just born. That's a better.
let me tell you once again, this is getting recorded. So I must say that we are creating history. Somebody is talking from out of India on platform, and it will be on air on our website in the next 1 or 2 days. And Parag is B Mechanical from VNIT Nagpur. He's also an ICW, highly qualified, highly dynamic, and highly vibrant personality. He's an associate of National Institute of Industrial Engineering. He's executive member of Indian Institute of Materials Management. He has been, working as a speaker with Confederation of Indian Industry (CII) between '94 to '98 on supply-based management. That is his core since those days. He is a board member of Indo-Dutch Association since 1998. Rajendra ji, the point to be noted by you. We are going to take his help to spread rice globally. And I'm sure Parag will help. Parag is always in the helping mode.
Certainly.
Yeah. He is also a member of Industry IIoT UK since 2019, since last 1 or 2 years. He is the executive member, procurement leaders of UK. And let me tell you here itself, I just asked him how many countries he has traveled. He said entire world. So I don't know how many countries are there in the world. I saw on the Google that somebody says 195, somebody says 215, UN says 251. So he has replied that he has traveled the entire world. So maybe, I don't know, more than 100 countries probably he has traveled in sourcing. So Parag, I am telling you upfront that we will take your help to ensure that our MSMEs goes globally. He is a certified blockchain associate from Blockchain Council CA. He is a board member of Council of Studies. Yogesh ji, we are all like-minded. I don't know what they say, like-minded people gets attracted. He is running exactly a similar event which RISE is running, which RISE is about to run. He is mentoring a lot of engineering students, and he is giving some projects. And incidentally, he tried, I think, to have an association with some Dutch college. Am I right, Parag?
Yes.
And he was trying to mentor a lot of students. In fact, he went in an agreement. There was a plan for exchange of these students from Nagpur to Eindhoven for some beautiful projects. So he has been, probably he's influencing those projects. His web sessions are also there at a lot of places on supply chain resiliency. He is GB certified and APIX certified. Let me tell you, his hunger and his passion for fitness. He is only one person, probably again, the entire RISE and Yogesh sir will like that he is highly disciplined. Daily 1 hour walk. Daily 1 hour walk.
That is more because of the age.
And he is, he is having passion towards yoga and everything else. And the very big thing is he is very close to, professional singing. So whenever we all meet, he acts as a very good singer. All Kishore Kumar's song, he is very famous in that. And lot of cultural evenings are with his singing. So he is definitely his people focused. He is, let me tell you, by the grace of God and by, whenever he is there, he is a very high level of energy and passion. And wonderful human being, and he always, I have seen him. He has always converted noise into an opportunity, and he is able to influence the skills of thousands of people. So over to Parag. I think I am very happy once again. Please, now it's all yours.
Thank you. Thanks, Mohan, for such a gracious introduction. It was much more than specified, but thank you very much. Thanks to Dr. Yogesh Pawar and Biniwale sir and Shade sir, Srinivas, and the entire ARISE leadership team for giving me an opportunity to have this web session on a subject of supply chain business resiliency, of which I'm really very, very passionate about. Let me compliment and congratulate the ARISE whole team. It's an institution which is driving inspirational management, inspirational leadership, a collaborative platform where you are getting all the business entrepreneurs together on a platform to share and to learn and to benchmark technology-enabled initiatives, best practices, to drive the purpose for which they exist, right? Including their top line and bottom line growth. So really hats off to this institution, and I'm really proud to be associated on this web session as a start. Let me also thank almost all the distinguished entrepreneurs who have joined this session, as well as the participating guests for taking their time off from their busy schedule, and to hear me on this topic. Let me start this webinar with just to check. Can you all see the slide? Hello?
No.
No.
Not now.
Yet. What do you?
Or do I have to share? I'll have to share, right, sir?
Yeah, you'll have to go to share screen.
Yes. I'll go to share screen, and then I'm audible, right? So you can all hear me, correct?
Yes,
okay,
yes.
okay. So just let me know whether you can see something now.
Now we are able to see.
Yes.
Okay. So let me start with, so as you all know, the subject is supply chain. So my basic theme will be on supply chain, but I will try to touch upon from a business perspective, how technology enablement can drive this supply chain resiliency or agility or flexibility to unlock value in the business. And this is becoming pertinent post-COVID, right? This pandemic, which has really attacked all of us, complete world. Okay, so in light of COVID, this becomes a very important subject. All corporate, all business houses are talking about and taking steps to be more resilient and agile. Before we start with the agenda, normally I always prefer to start any meeting or any talk session or any webinar, any conference with a health and safety moment. Earlier it was only a safety moment, but now health is becoming a very important priority. So it's a health and safety moment. So if you talk about all of us as individuals, right? This COVID has come, right? We all need to develop resilience in ourselves. What I mean by resilience is, how do I have strength and courage and confidence to face this adversity, right? How do I respond to a COVID, right? How by being tough, by being strong, by having grit and fervor to face this pandemic, right? How do I really incorporate good lifestyle habits and behaviors like prevention, not getting anxiety, right? To cope up with this dreadful disease, right? So resilience is required in all of us, right? It's very important in today's situation, right? Then how do I comply with basic norms and procedures of physical distancing, but still remaining socially connected, right? How do I make use of all hygiene, mask, and sanitization, right? So these are all behaviors and lifestyle habits which we need to incorporate in a new normal, so that we are always able to cope up with this kind of uncertain black swan events, right? Secondly, safety is very important. Safety is number one priority, not only in our personal lives, but also in our professional lives, right? So we all talk about exits, if some untoward incident happens, we have direct access to the exits. Slip, trip, and fall is very important, right? We shouldn't, slip inside the room or on the shop floor, right? So slip, trip, and fall have to be measured as a safety. Near misses, right? I was just going to fall, but I corrected myself and I refrained from getting injured, right? So it's a near miss, right? How many of us, even in our personal lives, we try to measure those near misses and then take preventive actions to avoid those, right? A safety culture, very important, right? How do we inculcate that behavior, right? Those mindsets, that cultural attribute that we are always safe wherever we go. Either we are visiting suppliers, we are visiting businesses, we are visiting manufacturing. And how do we inculcate this habit as a part of life amongst our people, amongst our teams, right? And then last but not least is safety KPIs. I mean, you're all business entrepreneurs and you might be having a lot of KPIs, which are being tracked in terms of lost time accident and total recordable rates and near misses. But I would really emphasize health and safety are two important priorities over above anything else. Okay, so after this moment, let me come to the agenda. I'll talk about businesses. Of course, the supply chain is a theme, but I'll talk about business in terms of performance and risk and opportunity. Then we'll talk about supply chain risk management maturity. Then we'll talk about the resiliency model and how technology enabled and domain expertise can help you to drive, to unlock value in the business. And then I'll talk about certain new normal, which is going to become a way of the way we think and act and operate, in terms of supply chain, in terms of people behavior and mindset, in terms of supplier customer collaboration, in terms of data and security, in terms of sustainability, and in terms of emerging technologies like IoT, big data, AI. I'm not going to focus more on the technical aspect of this session. I'm going to talk more about business and technology integration and how we as business entrepreneurs should drive the implementation of these technology-enabled initiatives backed up by transformation and change management. And that's the fundamental today challenge businesses are having. All these technologies are proven. There's no discussion about it. But how do you really mass democratize this on your shop floor where the real value takes place? Okay, so that would be my pitch of the discussion. So it's a kind of a poll question, but this is more of a brainstorming for all of us who are on this web session, right? So what's our company's top strategic business priority? Everybody wants business expansion, diversification, right? Everybody wants profit improvement. Everybody wants digital technology initiatives, Industry 4.0, smart manufacturing. Everybody's talking about so many, new initiatives like 3D printings and RPAs and blah, 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 right? So there are so many initiatives that are coming, right? Everybody's talking about efficiency and productivity because in return, we need to improve efficiency and productivity. And then manufacturing, distribution, supply chain improvement. So if you really see these 5 points, right, if your objectives are top 2, C, D, E are enablers, right, for that, right? So, how are we driving these enablers, to really help us to achieve our objectives, right? So the business focus has to be on performance, and performance inculcates efficiency also. We also talk about opportunities, right? Hey, we want to grow in this sector, or we want to grow in these products, right? We want to come out with these products. But how many of us are really talking about risk? And how many of us are really converting this risk into an opportunity for the business? How many of us see risk as a catalyst for opportunities? Okay, so that is very important. Now, in a digital world, right, we have been talking about information technology, right? Still, we talk about information technology, but what I think now is information technology is now transitioning to operations technology, OT, because it is really the operations technology integration. And this gap, whatever you see with those dots, right, this gap is getting reduced now. And very soon, this IT will get merged with OT, or OT will get merged with OT. And there'll be one single norm, it is OT. Okay, so that's what is happening, and you might have experienced this, but also in this part of the world, it's more of operations technology integration. Okay, so you all know about this pandemic, right? It was an unpredictable event, which was not expected. But if you see in the last 2 decades, so many external threats, risks, and disruptions have happened, right? Right from .com, to Fukushima, to Brexit, right? Now, were we prepared for that? The answer is no. When I talk to the supply chain community, when I talk to the business community, they say still our risk mitigation is reactive. After the event has happened, okay, we try to get the situation corrected, but there is no proactive risk management still happening in the businesses. Some kind of benchmarking data, I'm putting it for you. It comes from McKinsey, because I've had the privilege in my life, to be very honest with you, of working with all top 5. I have worked with McKinsey very closely in my last job of transformation. I worked with BCG. I worked with Booz Allen Hamilton. So I've been very fortunate to learn from these people, and some of the benchmarking reports I've taken from McKinsey. If you see the kind of shock exposures, and the business exposures because of this shock these industries had. If you see the sector in terms of less to highly exposed, if you see communication, apparel, and petroleum and computer, these really stand so much of exposure in terms of their business continuity and business losses, right? So on the top right-hand side, if you see these disruptions are very, very, and they have made a survey and a benchmark that they say companies can expect to lose almost about 42%. 42% of the EBITDA, if they don't manage this supply chain risks, if they don't really become resilient. So the focus is on risk resilience and rebalancing in global value chains. right? And they have also made some analysis of these pandemics and these threats and disruptions which happen. So normally every 2 years, the disruptions happen of 1 to 2 weeks duration. But if you see every 4.9 to 5 years, the disruptions have for more than 2 months. It can go into years also. So some kind of, just to acclimatize with you that this disruption to COVID is a very, very extra, kind of intensity it has, and the businesses have to really tackle new ways of managing, to come back to normal and to grow. So on the left-hand side, the Gartner talks about a kind of a business continuity stages, right? So when there is an incident and we respond to it, then we recover it and we restore it, and then we reimagine it or repurpose it. And it takes months and years, right? So this is a normal business continuity process every business has. But is it foolproof? That's a question. So let me quickly come to now performance mindset, since there are a lot of people on this forum who talk about inspirational leadership and who talk about psychology and people behavior and mindset, right? So what do we exactly mean by performance mindset? It's our personal credibility as individual, right? It's cross-functional team credibility. It's how do we execute? How do we execute any activity for which we are responsible? And how do we really create meaningful interaction? How do we harness expertise of the team to drive? Because everything is cross-functional, right? So how do you build credibility to a performance mindset in supply chain or in a business? That's a question of discussion. The second mindset, what we need to have, we talked about performance mindset, second mindset or efficiency mindset. The second is the risk mindset, right? How do we really assess risks? And risk can be internal as well as external, okay? It can be controllable, it can be non-controllable. How do we mitigate the risk and how do we respond to risk, right? So, and do we do it proactively? As you always say, I mean, I just put a quote here, optimism is the ability to focus on where we are going and not from where we are coming from. So forward looking, so it's very important. And that forward looking aspect is very important in a resilient business model. Okay, so that's what is very important. Then there is opportunity. How do you convert this risk into an opportunity for business, right? How do you influence the future, right? So do we really have a focus on proactive opportunity so that we really identify value in business or in supply chain through these disruptive technologies? And how do we really mass implement this technology to really add value to the business? So basically, we're talking about a growth mindset. And if you have heard of Simon Sinek, who's an inspirational leader and a communicator, right? He really talks about a growth mindset, an infinite mindset or growth mindset, which will really drive motivation and achievement. So basically, the businesses have to really focus on these three areas: performance, risk, and opportunity. And in terms of their mindset, in terms of their behavior, in terms of their people, how do we really drive this to the added value of the business? Okay, I'll just take a pause here, Mohan and Rajendraji, just to any comment anybody has or any input, and then I will continue if that is okay.
Yeah, please.
Yeah.
Very well. Go ahead. Fantastic.
Okay.
It is going very well. Yeah.
So supply chain, everybody knows, right? I'm not here to teach supply chain. Basically, we're all business entrepreneurs. We know supply chain, intakes everything. Okay, so is manufacturing also part of supply chain? So you can see on the left-hand side the whole supply chain ecosystem. But what is our first impression on supply chain? If you see the snaps on the right? I mean, we say, okay, supply is something. Okay, it's complex. That's fine. But when you really deep dive into supply chain, it's an ocean. It's a complex ocean. It's a service function. If this function achieves 10 objectives and fails on one, that one objective is remembered. So it's a kind of a service. I mean, and I'll tell you, I have spent so many years in supply chain, and it has also given me a lot of frustrated nights. But so it becomes very complex. So if you see that middle one, it's really complex. Huh? But what we want, it has to be absolutely simple. Simple is beautiful, right? And simplicity will come through resilience, right? How do we really become lean and mean and resilient, in terms of the external environment, right? So resiliency, efficiency in terms of customer orientation is very important. Okay. So Of course, supply chain means it has to add value to the business. And I mean, I can tell you from my experience, and all the business entrepreneurs on this session will agree, right? It affects revenue, it affects operating margin, it also affects capital efficiency. See, I mean, supply chain touches each and every KPI on the top line, on the bottom line, on the middle line. Okay, so whether it's inventory, whether it is cost of goods sold, whether it is accounts payable management, whether it is front end involvement with sales to win the projects, to win on pricing, negotiation with suppliers, every way it touches it. It touches value analysis, value engineering to take out costs, right? So it affects mix management, it affects new product introduction, right? So supply chain touches the whole gamut of business activities, and it has to be really seen from the point of view of value creation, because then only we would invest in the technological initiatives which enable simple supply chain, right? Because any business is a return on investment calculation, right? So that's very important that to have that value map in front of all of us when we are looking at supply chain. And supply chain, in fact, the buzzword supply chain is going now. We are talking all about integrated supply chain management. If you see in this part of the world, everybody's talking about integrated supply chain, because you may optimize manufacturing. Let us talk about manufacturing excellence, right? You may optimize manufacturing in terms of OEEs, in terms of efficiencies, in terms of your lead times, in terms of your throughput. But if your materials don't come on time, if your supply chain is not geared up, it gets across, right? So you cannot optimize one part of supply chain at the cost of other, right? So you have to really optimize the entire supply chain, all gamut of activities, right, from plan to pay, or plan to delivery to the customer, including warranties, service, maintenance, etc., right? So that's a very important aspect which we need to really put it in front of us. Okay, just quickly, I'm going to run through these slides, but what is the, I mean, I just selected this slide and I use this very often in my resiliency web sessions as well as in my consulting areas, right? If you see the internal risk in the last 3-4 decades, okay, the internal risks are quite well controlled by the businesses on the right-hand side, if you see the graph, but the external risks, unpredictable, are going up year after year, right? So are we geared up for that? And then on the left-hand side, you can see some of the external risk, threat disruptions, some of the internal risks, etc., in terms of quality defectives, in terms of weathers, floods, etc., natural disasters. So what is happening today, and you can also gauge for yourself why supply chain risk management maturity becomes low, is basically, yes, the capabilities are low. We don't focus much on that so far, because we have been, historically we have been successful, right? We have been making consistent margins, right? The business environment was conducive, but as you go forward looking, that's why we say, right, we have to be, optimism has to come from forward looking, not from what we have achieved, right? How are we going to sustain this? How are we going to grow year after year, right? So maybe on the capability front, we are lacking, right? There are a lot of data. Data is oil, data is asset, data is ocean, right? So much of data is there in the businesses, but do we really know, structured, unstructured, you may call it, but do we know what is reliable and relevant to give us insights and actions, right? Do we balance risk and performance? Supply chain is hammered on cost savings, but supply stability is equally important, right? Is it balanced? And then resources, too much of manual work. If you have to dig out that data in Excel sheets and work on that to provide some meaningful insights, it takes years, it takes months, right? I'll just give an example from my own life. Every month I used to release a red flag report for the business executives. The red flag report is, what are the projects which are going to get delayed because of the material delays? The material delays may be because of suppliers, because of internal reasons, that's all. But how much was the project revenue exposed? And how many were the customers and products which were exposed because the materials are going to get delayed? That's why the customer delivery is going to be delayed. I had almost 20 category managers worldwide, responsible for this activity, and they used to go through a manual process, contacting the project guys, the sales guys, the manufacturing people, getting this data and putting it in the Excel sheets. It used to take 10 days. 10 days for 20 people, and I used to release that report on 11th and 12th of the month. By the way, that out of 21 days working, already 11, 12 days have gone. So you can imagine if any actions we had to take, there was such a time lag, right? And this was completely manual process. We didn't have a resiliency platform in the business, a technology enabled, which can make everything visible real time. So imagine if we focus on this, we can drive a lot of inefficiencies out, and the same teams can be doing much more value-added strategic tactical jobs rather than hunting and mining and collecting data and making Excel sheets, right? So just think about the talent capabilities which is going to go in the forefront forward looking. What kind of talent would be required in business as well as in supply chain? So just to give you a summary, right? So if you talk about resiliency, there are definitely 5 phases in a business or in a supply chain. We start with a reactive phase. Then we get aware, then we start taking some proactive actions, and then we start integrating those actions across the business chain. And then when we are resilient, right? So resilient means we are in complete control, real time predicting scenarios and orchestrating actions across people, process, technology. So there was a survey done by Supply Chain Leadership Council, and I follow them very closely. In fact, I do join them in some of the sessions, and they have come out on a supply chain risk maturity measurement. They say the average score is 2.4 out of 5. So just 50% the risk management maturity. And then PricewaterhouseCoopers also made a survey, and then they say that if you see 3 or 4 or 5 levels, whatever are those on resiliency, if you see almost 60% are at awareness of proactive stage. And a simple risk equation is threats, vulnerabilities, consequences, right? So there is a COVID, vulnerability is our factory has a delay on materials, right? And the consequence is that factory production is stopped, so customer cannot be delivered, right? So revenue margin loss, right? So it's as simple as this, which is a risk. So the focus is really on risk. Okay, just a quick glance through on these have been published things, so it's not my own stuff. But what I'm trying to bring about is, if you see on the post-COVID priorities for corporates, of course, if you read those 7 key bullets, right, everybody's going to localization or regionalization. They don't want to be global because the risks are immense unless they have a technology-enabled solution in place to become global. Okay, then digital is getting a push. Cash flow is of utmost priority, right? Variable cost models, you can see the cost is, I've been talking to the RISE leadership in the beginning of this session. Everybody's talking about cost down, right? Everybody's reopening the contracts, right? Then definitely the control towers, and I'll talk about these control towers. Control towers is becoming a very, very popular technology-enabled solution, whether it is manufacturing, whether it is supply chain. You take any element of the business, and everybody's talking about an AI-driven control tower. Supply chain resilience is a key, whether we like it or not, but that's going to, and that would help you to build agility. Now, what is very important, and that would be appealing to my friends on this session from psychology, right? See, we have been talking about successful organization. A successful organization is, you talk about total shareholder value, or you talk about the market capitalization, you talk about the KPIs in terms of revenue margins. Those are hard financial numbers, very important, because that makes you continue, right? But the apple on the right side is absolutely important. The ability of an organization to align, execute, and renew itself to sustain exceptional performance improvements over time. And that talks about people, that talks about health, right? How do I equip my people with skills to own, adapt, and perform healthily, constantly, and quickly? And how do I create a leadership team and infrastructure to power fast, constant adaptation happening in real time and remotely? So the health, and McKinsey comes out with this philosophy, and this we have used it in our transformation in my earlier job. We had a lot of focus. I would say I would spend 50% of my time just on communication on health and strategic priorities. How do we really balance performance and health? So likewise, we say an apple a day keeps doctor away, right? So it's a very important element, and that's why people, talent, health become very important. How do we really develop the capabilities? How we develop the behaviors? How do we develop the mindset for change, to adapt change, to drive change? So we used to have in our organization the health transformers, the change ambassadors. That's a new title in HR which is coming now. People who have expertise influencing, people who can personalize the change stories in their professional area. So these are some of the things which are becoming very, very important in transformation. and more importantly in digital transformation. Okay, so now I'll just take a pause here. Any input or any experience if somebody wants to, to talk about free, definitely can add on before I come to the supply chain resiliency.
Would it be possible if I can speak a word? This is Yogesh.
Yes, sir. Yogesh.
Yeah, I think what you just narrating is so pleasant because one, it excites. Second, it is we need to get into a terms to ourselves at the SME business owners that it is a must. So you better change before it becomes chronic. And the growth that people see through this. I mean, I'm just a little fortunate to get this education globally, and hence relentlessly wanting people to understand and realize this, that it is not about the daily things. It is not about the daily work. You got to have that eagle's eye, a bird view, which helps you to look at your business extremely holistically. So, Paragjeet, thank you so much for joining in. I'm learning so much from this. Thank you.
Thanks, Yogesh. Absolutely, you are apt. So it's not a question of a small scale business or a medium scale business or a large scale, right?
Parag,
Absolutely.
Parag, sorry, even I would love to comment if you allow me.
Yeah, please go ahead. Yeah, absolutely. That's what is the session for. Yeah.
See these all MSMEs. I am also in touch with the corporate where we are being supplying. Now, as you rightly said, they are all dependent on the way who is going to supply fast. So I remember Yogesh ji has in one of the session maybe 5-6 months back, the people who are going to supply fast, probably they will survive and even they will become wealthier also. And obviously you have been insisting right from your first slide, the safety and health. So that, there is no compromise on that at all. So all MSMEs, I think it's a beautiful takeaway that, if we cut our lead times, probably we'll get more jobs. Am I right?
Absolutely
Parag?
correct.
Absolutely. See, let us talk about business objective, right? So you're all entrepreneurs. What you are focusing on is throughput, inventory, and cash. True. Right? Yep. Of course, growth. Yep. So throughput means growth, right? Growth, cost, and cash. Now, if you become agile, if you are able to turn around things quickly, if you are able to take fast decisions, but today the fast decisions you cannot take, with respect to the, how do I say it? Today, you cannot take the decisions on your judgment. You have been successful. I'm not saying that when we take decisions for business on judgment, there's a lot of expertise and learning we have, right, of last 30, 40 years, and we have been successful. But the question is, the forward-looking environment is not going to be that easy for you to take decisions on judgment, right? But if you want facts and figures, you don't have the means to get it. If, my team used to give me tens of Excel sheets, I used to throw them in the garbage. I don't have time to read those Excel sheets unless somebody converts the data right into a meaningful form for me so that I can validate my authentic decisions, right, through my teams, right? So it's very important. Agility as flexibility is very important business, whether you like it or not. Today, people are talking about, in our business, we're talking about 20 weeks lead time. People are talking about 8 weeks now. Just to give an example, I shared with some of the members, I was talking to Unilevers. You see, Unilever, such an established business, right? The kind of stuff they are doing on sustainability, the kind of stuff they are doing on AI, enabled control towers. So I was talking to their executive vice president planning. So the discussion was on S&OP. I'm sure all our medium scale entrepreneurs might be having some sales and operational planning in some form or the other, right? How do you drive forecast? How do you drive supply, inventory, capacity, capabilities, etc., etc. So he was telling me, pre-COVID, they used to take decisions on forward-looking forecast on 3 years historical data, sales data. COVID has changed everything. They only base their decision forward-looking only on 4 weeks data. Can you imagine? 4 weeks. This is because that forecast has no meaning. And forecast, traditional concept was forecast accuracy. My business colleagues would know, right? We always harp on sales. Hey, your forecast accuracy is very bad. That's why we are not able to supply. Today you come with so much quantity, tomorrow you come with that quantity. But the question is, in today's business world, they don't want forecast accuracy. They want agility. They want flexibility. They want manufacturing, how you can reduce lead times, how you can prioritize the customer, how you can compress lead time. And I'm telling you, this is not a top down or a game. It is top down, bottom up game. Unless there is a momentum, unless there is a mindset in people that we have to be flexible, we have to reduce lead times, we have to harmonize the SKUs, right? We have to harmonize the processes. So it's completely people. See, that's what is my supply chain expertise, business expertise, everybody has. But this transformation in mindset of people, if we don't control it, if we don't drive it, we are going to be unsuccessful. And that is what is the pitch here. It's change management, change management, change management, right? So if you see, what is it? It's an innovative solution, right? It needs domain expertise. If you don't have the domain expertise in business, then this is only information technology. There is a platform, SaaS platform available. They give it to you. And then we hammer the IT guy saying, hey, your tool doesn't work, right? It doesn't, you talked about so much of investment and return on investment did not come, right? Because this is not, our people prefer to do it manually. Then it becomes an IT tool. We want it as an operational tool, right? So how do you democratize it? How do you use the data technology infrastructure? How do you implement it? And this is a very important word, implementation. And I will come to you later in my slides. How should you go? How MSMEs should think about implementation, starting from a proof of value. So there is a concept here because, the IT benefits, when a technology guy comes with the tool, the benefits look very, very rosy. Oh, 1:10, $1 you invest, I'm going to give you $10. But let us all agree, in manufacturing, in operation, there are so many leakages. It's not an ideal place. We have to be rational and practical. And those leakages happen whether we like it or not. So that 1:10 becomes 1:-10. I've seen examples in my experience where we solid pre-calculation, but when we did a post-calculation, we were the losers. So it has to be implemented with a good business case, transformation, change management. And risk, how do you quantify risk and how do you quantify value? That's very important. And that's again a mindset, because we are all governed by price, cost. We hardly talk about value in our nomenclature, right? And that's the fundamental change of mindset. The business owners have to deploy it in their management teams down to the level at the workers level to drive this, right? So that's the essence. So it's threat, disruption, risk. Just take it like that. So Dr. Pawar, you're absolutely apt. I mean, that's a very important aspect you touched upon. How do we really, get this momentum, excitement, passion, and how do we energize our teams to embrace? And one thing which you all will face, if you talk, and you might have heard in your tech talks earlier, the moment you talk about technology, there is a headcount reduction. People first get that instinct. Oh, now our boss is going to reduce headcount. That's why he's bringing technology in place. My question to it, I was talking to one of the MSMEs in India where we are implementing an IoT solution. So I was talking to him. So I said, you have 1,200 people. Today you are doing $100 million. Why don't you think that 1,200 people should make $150 million revenue? Why are we always talking about headcount reduction? And why don't you repurpose the people? Why don't you recalibrate the people? Why don't you redevelop the people once you go through this sensor to cloud solution, where you're talking about complete digitization, end-to-end digitization, right? In your journey towards Smart 4.0 or Industry 4.0, why are you not pitching and communicating to people that we want to grow? We want to grow to $150 million with the same people, and we want to make your life simple. Otherwise, year after year, you are doing the same manual crib, right? You're not progressing in your career. So the pitch has to be entirely different. How do you message this change journey? Has to be completely different. Okay, so I'll quickly touch upon this. I'm not going to spend much time on this. You all know risk mitigations, catastrophic financial consequences, reactive. Very important is supply chain, right? So Mohan's business is supplying to GFL, but Mohan is dependent on ABC. True. If ABC becomes problematic because of any risk, there is a stoppage, there is a factory lockout, or it becomes bankrupt, and Mohan has ABC as a supplier, GFL is gone because Mohan cannot supply. M Square cannot supply to GFL. So how much knowledge do we have with our tier 2 suppliers? Do we have a visibility on their performance? Do we have the visibility on their risk maturity? So multi-tiering of supply chain visibility is becoming a very important aspect of business. And same boils down to customer also. Customers is going to ask you. Customers are going to pose this question, okay, tell me who are your tier 1 and tier 2 suppliers. We know you, but we want to know and what are the parts on which you are dependent on them on vulnerability, right? So supply chain resiliency is not measured on supply chain disruption, revenue assurance in most of the business. How do you relate revenue to the supply chain risk exposure, right? So this model is a data-driven model. I'll talk about it on the later side, but see on the right-hand side, the graphs. And these are very, very, attractive graphs, because if you see the first, these are the phases of a business continuity plan. Every business will know, right? When an event occurs, you see those peaks, right? In terms of discovery, response, downtime, and recovery, right? Those peaks are going up, whether it is resource utilization, whether it is factory utilization, whether it is premium on raw materials you have to pay, whether it is fixed cost, etc., etc. But if you come to a proactive mode of risk mitigation, those valleys and peaks and troughs go down. And organization, there is a benchmark, there has been study done on this on a $1 billion company, that the supply chain resiliency value to the businesses of $1 billion is almost 14 million, which is net 2.8. The opportunity is 6%, but as you all know, in a shop floor manufacturing environment, they have based it on 50% of that, which is 2.8%. 14 million is direct bottom line. If we manage supply chain resiliency very well in the business. And it can be manufacturing, it can be supply chain, it can be procurement, it can be receipts, it can be inventory. So it's a generalized aspect. Okay, so model is very simple. Okay, so there is a nervous system in the center, or a nerve, or a control tower, or a cloud, whatever you call you can see in the middle. And there are a lot of systems which a corporate business has, right? There is a customer data with a customer relationship management system, there's supply chain data, there are all published and non-published sources of events, market events and alerts. There is a product lifecycle management system where you talk about item categories, specifications, new products, etc., etc. There is a manufacturing execution system, which most of us know. And then there is some external macro data which comes on GDPs and labor, etc. So what this control tower does is, right, it first of all brings people, process, and technology. It's an orchestrator. Okay, it's an orchestrator to harmonize the processes, to harmonize, extract, mine the data, to sense the risks, to extract the KPIs, and then to give insights. So imagine it's a human machine combination, which is doing through a SaaS layer as a AI ML layer. It does all this stuff, and at the same time it keeps on learning. So it has access to real-time data metrics. It enables empowerment of critical decisions fast and real time. It uses the domain expertise, as I said, it has to be operationalized, and then predictive analytics. So another way of putting it is exactly, if you see this control tower in the center, and it's collaborating with all the systems, right, to give you this hindsight. So it's a very, very, and the focus now is really on the technology enablement in terms of a centralized control tower, right? And the entire information insights are real time. So it becomes a part. So when you come in the morning and you open your laptop and the control tower flashes your world map supply basis. Okay, in Wuhan, COVID has happened. That region is marked red. Immediately when the purchasing guy or the supply chain guy, when he sees it, he clicks on that alert, and the entire supply base which are located in that region and what parts those suppliers are, it gets exploded. So imagine that kind of stuff. You have real time. How much of your time is saved to take actions? And then it relates to the product, that these are the parts which are coming from these 20 suppliers in Wuhan, $100 million spend, affecting $2 billion turnover. And these are the 5 products and 5 customers who are going to get affected, because this delay is going to be from 3 months to 6 months. And the suppliers will need 3 to 6 months to recover. So imagine if this data comes to you in an aggregated form on your laptop, on your screen, just by the click of a key. Then you assemble team. Okay, what action? Do we have to migrate to India, right? Because this is not so. Okay, we have alternate suppliers. What are the resilience strategies? So this control tower, if you really see the structure of the control tower, there is definitely going to be a middleware software. You need a SaaS layer, right? And then on downside, you have all these inbound, outbound processes and systems, and it attaches interfaces with this system. It uses a AI layer showing what happened, why it happened, what will happen, and what action to take, and then it gives you the predictive insights. So it's like a human nervous system. It's processing the information, it's coordinating the actions by transmitting signals and alerts. So this is I always use this from Ginny Rometty, who's IBM CEO, that human and machine always get a better answer than human alone or machine alone. And that's the power of this control tower. And don't get afraid by control tower terminology and AI and all. Even medium scale enterprises, depending on their dimension of the business, can implement this. You don't need SAP or Oracle and fantastic ERP system to facilitate or to enable this control tower. This control tower works on adapters and APIs. Okay, all open source APIs, right? It can take structured data, it can take unstructured data. Okay, so there's nothing like that you have to have an ERP system to facilitate enablement of this. You know, any system you have, even a PC-based system you have, as long as you have this correctly designed to help you, you know, in your hindsight as well as in your predictive insights to drive actions, you know, that is possible. Okay, so just focus on this, that how, I mean, businesses have to say, okay, how can I get real-time information? Because that's a challenge. See, the whole business, I would say, supply chain and business is a visibility challenge, is a data challenge, and is a technology challenge, right? And all these three are related to each other. You may have the best of the technology, but your data is in raw shape. What do you do, right? Or your data is not visible. You may have the best of the data stuff, but you don't have a technology, right? You're still working on Excel sheet and analytics on Excel, right? So the question is, how do we really get these three resolved at an optimum cost with a higher value? Because it all needs strategic investment and funding, right? And funding has to come from the business, right? Okay, so basically another advice to MSMEs, right? First of all, analyze your critical process nodes. Data comes later on. Don't get worried about data. There is ample data, but we have to, in your process flows, whether you do value stream mapping or whether you do process flow analysis, etc., right? We need to identify with expertise and taking the cross-functional together, what are those nodes which are critically exposed to internal risk and external risk. And that's a very important aspect, because technology will enable everything, but unless this is correct, technology cannot solve your problem, right? You may have the fantastic AI platform, but your processes are not well mapped. Your data points are not well mapped, then that technology just becomes a tool, right? So please think about it. So please think this forehand before you talk about technology. Technology is available and technology is proven. This AI ML, IBM is using this AI ML control tower since last 4 years, and it is working super. There is Kinaxis who is talking about control tower, democratizing control tower. Nobody talked 1 or 2 years ago. But post-COVID, everybody is talking about the capabilities on control tower. So there are so many companies who are coming out. There are so many businesses who are talking about that, yes, we want to go this way, right? With a good roadmap. So that's very important, okay? Just to give you an example, okay? So how a control tower operates, right? So you see this is an example, and this can appeal to you because there is a mobile phone, right? And there is a factory P111001. These are some of the parts like PCBs and transistors and diodes and all those kind of components which come in, and then there is a supplier, and then there is a fire at the supplier. The POs get delayed. What does this control tower do is control tower will connect all the dots. So it will connect all the dots right from the front end to the back end. That this delay, these PO delays is going to affect how? It is going to affect the capacity of production. It is going to affect the customer shipments. Right? It is going to affect these POs which are coming from the supplier. So do we have to transition the supplier? Do we have to financially aid the supplier, you know, to come out of this crisis, right? What are the products which are exposed? What are the customers which are? So there are so many data points. Real time it will connect. It will connect real time all these data points. And that's what is becoming very important for in technology today with this edge and microstructure kind of, systems, right? Where the systems are in modules so they can be scaled up. And then the edge network is becoming very, very, very popular nowadays because you want the data analytics at a collection point only. So you can imagine on the technology side, the things are getting simplified. Things are becoming cheaper, right? So that's a revolution which is happening in the technology front. It is all for business enablement, right? So then it will do concurrent planning. You know, what happens is, okay, these people are delayed. So what happens on production? What happens on inventory, right? What happens on SNOP? What happens on supply? So concurrent it will do. It will evaluate alternatives. It will evaluate the impact on revenues and margins, and then it will give insights. As the model runs progressively through the years, it will give you insights, right? So, and all this through a collaborative platform, which is not by emails, which is real time access through a collaborative project management tool, you may call it, or an access tool, or whatever you call it, right? So it's that on your mobile, right? So imagine this, how much it will enable your business and your teams, right? Okay, I just take a pause here to cross check on the time, Mohan.
You can continue.
You can continue.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Any remark from any of the board member of RAs? I mean, are they seeing this kind of initiatives, or are they reading, or are businesses talking about that they want to go for it but they don't know how to go for it? Are they talking about talent reskilling?
I think there are few things definitely which are probably very new, but definitely we should be. You have made us more aware about a few more things which are available right now. Already you said control tower concept is being available for the last 4 years since, and MSMEs has to work on all these things. 100%, I agree with you.
Yeah. I mean, see, it's, how do I put it, right? It's, you have to go forward looking and have plans. Okay. Everything cannot, because this year is year for survival, right? You need to get cash back to normal, right? Business as usual. But unless we as owners of businesses see this as a strategic initiative, right? Do a budget allocation, do a funding allocation, get into the POV first, proof of value, right? Empower a team to work on a feasibility. And I'll talk about the process steps, how you can make this simple, rather than talking about $1 million and crores of rupees investment. No, that's not the purpose. That's not the purpose of my pitch also today. Because see, everybody cannot afford an IBM or a McKinsey, right? I mean, big corporates like Philips, Unilevers, Shells, they already have this, right? They have all this captive. But the question is, these are the customers, right? Where our MSMEs are also supplying. And these customers are going to drive MSMEs. Hey, are you on digital? Can you show me your document traceability? Can you show me your quality certificates traceability? Can you show me your change revisions? Now imagine if you have to show through files and archives, and that too by emails and all. I mean, even at the selection stage, they may not select the suppliers, right? So please think from that angle, because everybody is going in that direction now. Everybody wants interfaces, right? Everybody wants EDIs, right? So the question is, the business environment will force us to think on these lines, even if we don't think right now, right? Now, these are some of the output it gives, right? I told you an example, right? In the morning, you come and you have a world map displayed, and it shows red, greens, and yellows processes, right? Some events have happened. Your control tower is tying up with all these social medias, Facebook. It validates the event alerts, whether they are genuine or not. So if somebody says that there was a big fire or there was a polystyrene leakage in Visakhapatnam plant, now somebody has to validate, or is it a Facebook, blunder, right? Some wrong news. So the control tower will validate from Google or from World Economic Forum or from published site, right? So that news is true. Oh, we have 20 suppliers in Vietnam. What happens? Right? We have these service contractors in Visakhapatnam, right? So what happens? So all that part, and then you see a lot of outputs of tier 1, tier 2 suppliers, right? So if you see in the middle example, right? You have an assembly and testing which you are supplying to EPCs and OE businesses, and then you have some casting, fabrication, motors and systems, and then you are dependent on suppliers in red. Those are tier 2 suppliers, and something happens at tier 2 suppliers, and your time to recover and your revenue exposure gets completely calculated, right? So this kind of stuff, if you have to do manually, which helps you to take decisions, right, to help you to prioritize your actions, it is just out of question. That will not give you resilience, right? Because this is what you need, right? So just some examples of output I've said. Okay, return on investment, right? So it's a very important question. As I told you that there has been a lot of benchmarks which have said that this definitely is a return on a value game, right? And then there are a lot of ways to calculate, the different ways of calculating the return on investment. But if you see the example in the middle, and this is a very good benchmarking which has been done in this part of the world with one of the established multinational corporation, where they say they start from a pre-shock EBITDA, and then they invest on resilience, and their EBITDA from 13.8 comes to 11, so which is 16%. But if a company not prepared to do this, then the EBITDA goes down by 40%. Right? So you can see there is a 23 percentage point difference. So there are a lot of actual papers, actual implementations, big corporates. I'm talking about a big corporate because I've not heard about MSMEs so far, but they have really evaluated this whole stuff in terms of return on value. So, and that's a formidable part for any business to take a decision. So definitely it has a return on investment. So that is what, and more or less it's again exponential, right? Because if you are, so any next pandemic, any next threat disruption, internal, external comes, right? We are all prepared proactively, right? So you can take this on year approach, how do you drive it to unlocking more and more value and sustaining in the business environment. Okay. So just some example. Now, real value to the customer, right? What happens? Of course, one is the savings part we saw, right? But if you really see the data democratization, right, you can eliminate a lot of manual work. I can give you some examples from my domain. A typical company, I'm talking about $1 billion company, right? It has 6 to 8 FTEs in a purchasing. So you can imagine a $1 billion company would have at least 40, 50 people, if not more, in a supply chain procurement department. Or maybe less, but what I want to is I just want to magnify this issue, right? So normally they talk about 6 to 8 FTs are only busy in doing data maintenance and follow-up jobs, administrative jobs. All administrative data collection, that kind of job, non-value-added jobs, 6 to 8 FTs for $1 billion company. A company can save if they really digitize the processes, right? So think of that kind of benefit, but repurposing those people, raising their talent capabilities, to take a higher level job or to do something strategic, tactical rather than operational, right? So that's another area. So data democratization and savings in manpower because of administrative workload reduction. Then definitely risk exposure in terms of linking your front end to the back end dot, right? The customer revenue margins. But more important, the extreme right? You have visibility, response time, impact assessment, proactive actions, the culture and change of mindset. See, risk mitigation has to be a day-to-day part of operations, right? It has to be a day-to-day part of your operations where you are reviewing your production figures or planning in the morning, right? It has to be that level of integration, right? So that's very important. And then cross-functional people coming together. How do you get the expertise of cross-functional team along with technology enablement to drive this? And then, of course, talent development. So it's a real value on supply chain resilience. Okay. These are some of the snapshots. Again, what are the strategies? Alternate sourcing, plant optimization, ecosystem partnership. It's more collaborative now, buffer inventories. Then how do you use supplier networks? If you see on the right extreme side, there are some multimedia speaker systems, automotive speakers and marine audio, and they have commonality of suppliers. So how they can share the suppliers to mitigate the risk, right? So the supplier networking also is becoming very important nowadays, to share the supply base, the common supply base to avoid risks, okay? And then there is another example, which I just took from McKinsey lately that, what are the resilience strategy on the left hand side, and these are all common strategies which each one of us is adapting in terms of dual sourcing and inventory and near shoring and regionalizing the supply chain and SKU and process harmonization, etc., etc. Okay, so what is very important is new normal, right? So this is what is fundamentally important, that we are going into a new normal. The business is not going to be as usual as we have been doing all these years. So the way we think, act, and operate has to change, right? Mind well, any transformation journey, any business enterprise, 70% of the transformations really fail. And this is a proven stuff. And we use this in our transformation in my earlier experience, because McKinsey has done a survey that 70% of the businesses fail in transformation. And the failure is on account of several factors, but more importantly is the change of mindset of people, because the people don't embrace it. People don't want to change. And you can imagine 30 years, 35 years, people who are working, who have been very, very successful in driving the business to profitability. They have a very hard mindset and they don't want to change. They say, no, what way of working we had, that was the best, right? So it's this people mindset. And that's why McKinsey focuses more on, in our transformation also, to be very honest with you, we identified people. We identified who were the crews, we call it in our language crew, who are excited like us, the passengers who are passive. You demonstrate a quick win or a success and then they join you, and then there are pirates. And these pirates are very dangerous people. They may be 20%. It is normally 20, 60, 20. 20 crew members, 60 passenger, and 20 pirates. But these 20 pirates can lead to entire collapse of the transformation journey. So if you don't identify them, or if you don't influence them to join the remaining 60 or the first 20, then you have a problem. Okay. And any change journey, you can see that curve. It's a very, very famous Kubler-Ross model, Atkar model of change management, right? It starts with shock and then it comes to commitment. So it goes through a phase. So please keep this perspective in mind. Any transformation journey will have all these phases, right? And finally, we have to make the transformation simple as possible, because if we don't simplify, then it is not going to get bought on. So very clear, embrace change because it is the only constant in life, right? So that's what is the focal part. Okay, so I'll quickly run through some of the things which I said, but I can slightly repeat them. So again, I talked about people, process, technology, right? So what's happening on the people front? We are moving away from a command and control culture to a cross-functional team, digital team empowerment culture, to a machine-human collaboration. So you can see the sea changes which are happening in people. Okay, in terms of processes, it's a complete integrated holistic process. It's multi-tier collaboration model with the multi-tier customers, multi-tier suppliers, right? And again, at the center of it is again a digital strategy, again, an operations technology model. And then when you come to technology, definitely you have to have it as a strategic vision. Second is agile way of implementation, and agile way is very, very popular in the information technology world, because that practice comes from agile, the sprints, etc., whatever we talk about, right? And third is definitely the ROI, focus. So the whole focus is on excellence in business through people, process, and technology. Okay, just some pictures, just to give you the concept. What's happening is, right, the new supplies. The old supply chain was based more on lean spirit, right? Optimization of cost, inventory, just in time, be as lean as possible, optimize the cost. Now it's more running to flexibility and agility, right? So that's why, because, and if you map it on demand as well as relationships, right? So you can see that is all moving towards, so agility and resilience. Again, in your manufacturing, in your supply chain, if you bring this, if you don't have small group activities, if you don't have improvement projects, I would definitely encourage everybody to deploy that, because that's the area which is going to help, right? Now, the second is, you can see, right, on the left-hand side, it's a very sequential process. You have to develop, plan, source, make, deliver, support, right? Of course, you have ad hoc technologies there in terms of sensing, in terms of cognitive planning AI, in terms of 3D, in terms of sensor driven. Yes, you also have it in a sequential structure, but everything is going to digital core, the control tower, the nervous system, right? Where everything is connected. Everything is connected. And then in addition, if you see the bottommost part, right? So the flexibility is like this, that it's not only question of your material getting available in a traditional or in a new normal in terms of days, but what is very important is the information. Days to, so 29 to 30 days, this model, this example, one of the established companies have put in place, and they could see the information from tier 2, tier 1 suppliers coming in one day. Right. So what is important is all connected. So that's another part of the industry 4.0, right? Everything is getting connected, but that does bring about some risks, right? The connected devices. So I will talk about it. But what's very important is this. The third part is, as you know, the dominance on China, right? If you see on the left-hand side, US is losing the worldwide market export market share, right? If you see the China part, which is the blue line, almost 20% of the world exports controlled by China. And if you see the US, the green line, which has come down to less than 10%, right? So if you really see in terms of the economy, right, China is really, and dependence on China is a lot of vulnerability, right? So people are talking about this digital core structure, but they're talking about the regional hubs. And these regional hubs would be the control tower kind of game, as well as the stocking game, which will give signals, for the global risks, to this, and through the digital core, they will give the signal so that businesses can still be global, they can still source globally, but with a good risk mitigation. So that's another. So near sourcing, regionalization, local sourcing is also getting a lot of prominence now in light of this pandemic situation. Sequential, right, to concurrent. Now we talked about it, right? So if you dissect a business function, right, starting with sales and operational planning, demand, supply, inventory, and capacity, everything is sequential. So what happens? It's again siloed and static, right? So if something happens on S&OP or on a demand, by the time it comes to capacity, ages. So response becomes difficult, right? So imagine now with a digital core and a concurrent system. So any risk, any threat, any on each of these 5 can be sensed real time, and it can give you a proactive approach. So again, basically another form of talking about the control tower, right? Okay, so I'll just take a small pause here, and any inference or any observation on, do the MSCs see it happening from the customer end, that customer is pushing on lead times, on delivery times, on
100% it is happening.
Okay, good.
Now let us say we are in the projects. So just 1 or 2 days back, the normal lead times for a particular project of particular capacity, it is, let us say, 9 to 10 weeks. Now customer said we want in 3 weeks. Whosoever is supplying will get the job.
Yeah,
it is happening. It is already started.
It's coming.
Yeah, it is started.
Yeah.
100%.
Okay, so again, I'll not repeat all this, but it's people, behavior, processes, and tools integration, right? And technology plus data plus change behavior is ROI. So you have to see the ROI from all these 3 facets. And again, down below in the pictorial you see, right? I mean, everything starts with a clear organization and ownership structure. Take an example of Army or a sports team, right? It's continuous training and reskilling. And then, and for Army, the worst case scenarios has become a normal life, right? So we are going to face this kind of scenarios, right? And how do you enable it through digital dexterity, data centricity, and collaboration? So these are really very important attributes, and learning while doing, right? Every day we are learning something new. And as we say, like, leadership is not what we know, right? Leadership is what we learn, right? So it's this very important aspect on behavior, okay? Now, there are a lot of other areas in terms of new normal being talked about, right? One is, and we all have faced, right? There is a remote working environment, right? and how do we relate talent development in that, right? So you can imagine if you are managing people without line of sight, you need a different skill set, right? And then many times there are beliefs, confidence and trust issues, so which leads to micromanagement, right? We are following up with that who is working with that person who is working remotely, and then it kills his motivation, it impairs his productivity and performance, right? So, but all these problems can be solved, right, if you have a good design and development plan of remote working, right? But very importantly, the learning things are, again, mindsets, diversity and inclusiveness, empathy, humility and support, right? Empower the teams, give them job autonomy, have governance, playbooks, protocols, and then manage by results or value, right? And as you say, so I've just taken this snapshot, you might have seen this, but this also appeals to me very, very important, right? I mean, they're talking about the mindset shifts on organization transformation, right? Profit to purpose, hierarchies to networks, controlling to empowering, planning to experimentation, and privacy to transparency. As we say, right, and we have to communicate 17 times over and over again to induce a change in mindset and behavior, because the brain is the most difficult aspect. And any transformation, be prepared for that. You will have to communicate so many times to induce a change. Okay, so remote management, talent development is also becoming another new normal, right? But we have to see, we have to manage it, right? With good leadership skills, with good managerial skills. Supplier customer partnership and collaboration is taking very important now. And it's completely changing its model now, right? Because it's a very complex, right? That we are supplying to a customer is also a supplier to other customer, right? So how do you really strengthen this relationship, right? And the pillars are, again, organization. How do we have harmonized processes, eliminate, simplify, standardize, and automate is called SR, right? How do you use the capabilities of inclusive culture, change management? How do we focus on data analytics? And then how you have the governing playbooks. So this is another area which business entrepreneurs have to think about. How do we have a collaborative relationship with customers and be partners in their growth? So this, again, dimension is completely changing as compared to, a few years back or pre-COVID scenario. So this is another area which, now security, is very important, right? Whether you talk about cyber security or data security or privacy and device security, right? Because you see now, right, it's a disruptive technologies, right? Then workforce is mobile. There is no on-premise now. People are working from home. They are using their own devices. Everything is connected. There are cloud applications, control points, access points, data points, right? Lot of applications, right? So industry specific, SaaS, cloud, and then the security architecture. So you have to really think it back, from bottom up approach. And this is another area which we normally neglect, right? Oh, okay, it's not important for us, but I can tell you businesses have come to a standstill. And I'm talking about medium scale industries, because the security part was not, a certain hack happened on their system and everything was lost, right? So how do you rewrite your security? How do you do a governance on security, right? So I would encourage each of the IT teams of the medium scale businesses to really talk, draft a complete data security, cyber security policy, and go ahead implementing that with. And then there are a lot of this kind of security operations center and network information security and this identity access management, these kind of regulations, and comply with that kind of a due diligence and compliance with that. That's very important. Okay, so that's another thing which we shouldn't neglect on the security part. Okay, and last is very important is ESG, environmental sustainability, right? So still, if you see, the whole focus is going into now reducing the carbon footprint, recycling, then the circular economy, responsible sourcing, going into multi-tier suppliers, hazardous substances elimination, right? So I think the focus, which is also going to become a very important subject and mandatory subject, is going to be on ESG compliance. And that intensity will also be felt by medium scale industries and business owners, because their customers are going to really ask for a blueprint, for a plan, So I think this is another important subject which shouldn't be neglected in this new environment. And you might have heard about PNGs and Unilevers. They are doing so many things on this, on the environmental sustenance and governance. Okay. So then I'm coming to the last section now. So what I want to talk about here is, and I'll just take another. Yeah, sorry, Mohan, did I exceed the time because I really don't have the hang of the time.
Because we will have a question and answer session also, because there will be
Yes.
Some questions coming up.
Okay, good. Okay. I'll quickly glance through this because I'm not going to spend time more on this because I think you guys might be are having all tech talks and all, but I'll just touch upon a little bit important aspect.
Yes,
So,
yes.
So I'm not going to read this, and I can share the slides also for you. But
yeah, please.
Yeah, impact of AI on procurement and supply chain. Definitely, it's a given fact. Whether you have an analytic process on spend, the addressable spend, non-addressable spend, or whether you talk about supply analytics, in terms of your profile. Of course, this AI enabled technology is going to be the need of the hour. Okay, and it can help you in these two areas definitely, because in fact in my life I use this. So I'm damn confident about category management, spend analytics, and supply analytics. Should start thinking, not tomorrow, but at least in your strategy, how you are going to digitize, how you are going to train. Consider robotics, on your requisition and PO process, or on your accounts payable process, RPAs, right? So all these things are going to come, may not be tomorrow, but definitely in the next 5-year strategic plan. So definitely this is proven. You can also extract the key elements of a contract. Imagine if you have 87, 90 pages contract, and if you have to monitor and track that contract and review that contract. So there are a lot of AI use cases we have done in our lives on the contract extracting the content and putting it in a logical form, which helps the contracts manager to ensure compliance and performance tracking and monitoring. And see, benefits of AI on procurement supply chain, quantified benefits are, you can see on the right-hand side, right? Average handling time reduction, of any activity. 25 to 60% of the benefits come from that. Processing cost getting reduced by 40%, FT improvement, efficiency improvement, 25 to 40%. So around about 55 to 40% identified savings are done through this AI application on spend category and supply-based analytics. Okay, so that's all proven. So now the challenge part is, how do we really democratize this technology? And that's my very important element which I wanted to talk to you about, right? MSMEs should start very small, right? Now you can see there are 5 blue buckets. There's a proof of value, there is a pilot, there is an enterprise, and there is an overall program value. Now inadvertently, what mistake we do is that we take a proof of value phase first. We do the economics on the paper. Right? That, okay, we need a $1, and then and on the proof of value, we say we are going to get $5. You are not going to get a proof of value, because after a proof of value we have done on paper, you are going to have a proof of concept, and proof of concept is on a very mini scale nature, on a very small pilot. So you cannot talk about $1 giving you $5 at that point of time. So we'll talk about maybe 10% savings. Okay, that's good enough. Then you go to a mass democratization. You take a mass rollout, right? There you can say, okay, I need additional cost, but also I get economic value of 2 times. And then when you go to final scale up, that time you get $4 from $1. So I think our mindset of proof of value to scale up in terms of economic value also has to change, and we have to be very rational and realistic. And please mind well, there are always upswing in costs. So if we have budgeted $1, the $1 becomes $2. If you have budgeted $10 savings, it becomes $5. So these numbers we have to take into our measurement of accuracy or error calculation, right? As we proceed through the journey, and don't try to fly, right? First crawl, take small projects, then expand the projects, then try to take higher number of projects, and then you fly. So if you see on the right-hand side down, crawl, walk, run, and fly. So very clearly, if you have this approach and demonstrate quick wins, demonstrate quick successes, because that will help you to transform the organization, because they see the success coming, and seeing is believing, right? So that's important. After a phase gate process, the entire phase gate process of project management is becoming very popular, and I'm sure everybody knows about it. But what is very peculiar about this process is you start managing, after you start implementing the ideas, right? You start managing the money steps, and money step means when the cash comes in. So cash comes in, that point of time is your realization of benefit. So that's a slightly different aspect than our conventional project management methods. So that each activity is money stepped, you know, and that's very important. And then you keep on accruing the benefits, etc., etc., etc. Okay, so quickly, last 2 minutes on this. So IoT sensor to cloud solution, everybody knows, but what is very important is, right, and if you see the whole gamut of sensor to cloud solution is all this on the right hand side, right? It starts with hardware, wireless, software, end to end. But what is very important is if you don't digitize your process, if you are still having manual processes and then you are just putting a sensors to extract data, it's not going to give you value. So digitization and focus on all the three aspects of productivity: process productivity, equipment productivity, job productivity, and operator productivity. And then get data extractions and integration with your ERPs and analytics and predictive insights and through a project management approach. So that's a very important, because many times we make a mistake. Okay, I'll put some sensors on a CNC machine and that will give me OEE, but that's half-baked solution, you know. So that's very important. All input and output processes for that process step on that CNC have to be digitized. And then an end-to-end solution has to be deployed. So we have a lot of use cases which we are trying to pilotize and to scale up. You know, on CNC area, on a process kind of welding areas, on a steel foundry area, and with the help of Mohan, we are also trying to pilotize in the cooling tower area for condition and efficiency parameters. So you can know the scope of sensor to cloud solution, how much it can help you to improve the life cycle management of assets. Then definitely we talked about AI application, right, of unification, cognition, and prediction. There are three strong pillars of any data analytics, big data, AI, ML, and this, we talked about it, right? So how much value it can give in terms of prediction. Some examples we have on price prediction for the traders, you know. So we run this whole program on Saturday and Sunday. On Monday morning in Japan, the traders have this historical forecast of commodities and prices of metals to take hedging actions. So it is so real time, you know, they can use. And then we check the forecast accuracy, that what was the price of the aluminum and what is the actual price, and we guarantee 95 to 96% accuracy. So you can imagine 300 statistical models running behind the screen to churn the data, right? So another example of an assembly line on AI extracting the quality defect points from each step of assembly platform, you know, through an AI-driven SaaS platform. So a lot of these use cases. And last important, which is going to become in future very important, is blockchain. And I see the application of blockchain. And since I am also mentoring a startup on blockchain here on the left bottom side, you know, this is a startup which is coming on sharing of supplier documents, all qualification, certification documents, and validating it through third parties. So if you have a Lloyd's certification on ISO 9000 and supplier has submitted your document, but you want a verification and validation from Lloyd's. So there is a blockchain platform which will get all these parties on a distributed peer-to-peer network and drive this whole activity of tracking, tracing, and validation. So on the logistics area is another area where blockchain definitely is going to play a very important role for flow of documents, goods, and information. And then on the APs, account payables and account receivables, the third case where blockchain is already getting implemented in most of the companies, where you are going to have a blockchain platform. So finally, what is going to happen is on the mid chart, IIoT, AI, ML, and blockchain will get integrated. And one of the best example of this is value chain, cold chain, where the goods are transported under temperature and humidity condition, right? You will see that logistics chain completely a function of IoT, sensors, RFIDs. You will see big data, AI analytics for the data which is getting extracted, but all on a blockchain platform with multiple parties in a secure, trustworthy form. So this is another technology which people should think of, you know, coming in future, but this is definitely going to be that thing. So this is this was my message in terms of the resiliency in business. So as I always say that it is not the strongest species that survive, not the most intelligent, but the ones most responsive to change. And it comes from famous Charles Darwin. And I hope you all appreciate this. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Parag. Thanks a
you.
lot. Now the forum is open for questions. All the attendees arises. If you have any question, I have certain questions which are there in chat box. I'll just ask one question by Mr. Nana Gaikwad.
Yeah, please go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, he's asking, in a small scale companies, owner personally controlling things, each control tower tool is useful for this to scale up the companies.
Uh, uh, a small scale company, right, with one owner and a small team, right? Now, what is this control tower asking is basically not that you need to have number of people to, to drive this. It's not asking that. So your business dimensions are small, right? So what you need is this technology enabled to suit your dimension of business. Okay, and it can be at your manager level or it can be at the owner level, because that's the strategic part of the business, right? They are the people who are really driving, because rest is all it's a complete delayed organization, right? So you may not have a big management team and things like that, right? But imagine if you automate all this. Don't call it as a control tower, you just call it as automation, right? That okay, you have this business, you have these customers, you have these suppliers, right? And you have this kind of mechanics of planning, demand, inventory control, and capacity, right? So just your dimensions get reduced, but your automation and control tower aspect remains same, except at close dimension. And then that can be accessed. So the question is what happens, it has multiple access points. So if you have a management team, cross-functional management team, right, that you will have several access points. Here the access points can be only two, because these are the two decision makers, right? So it is irrespective of the size of the business, your dimension get reduced, but the concept technology enablement remains same. Okay, so don't worry about whether it's a big business or I need to have 10 people to manage this. No, that's not the direction. The direction is how can it make your business simple as an owner, and how can you grow your business, right, through facts and rich data, enriched decision making process. Okay, does it answer this question, or I'm too vague?
Yeah. Right. Nana,
Because
are
they
you
may,
there?
yeah, you may have only one system, right? I mean, in a small scale business, you may not have a customer relationship management system, a PLM system, because all of them might be housed in your one basic system. So data extraction becomes very easy. See, what you need is only to extract the data and churn it to make it real time. Don't even call it control tower, just call it as an automated tool. And in fact, the pilot has to be in a small scale industry. Just experiment the success. Does it really help you to do the business, right? Or you still have to depend on Excel documents and analyze that. Then, so think about it like that. Yeah. But surely, small scale definitely should try. Simple system.
Parag, there is a question on my WhatsApp by one of the members. He wants to understand what will be the 3 tips that you will give it to SMEs and MSMEs, wherein they should, they must follow this to make the things economical and profitable.
Okay.
In supply chain.
Okay. First is definitely the performance. And I know, see, MSMEs or small scale, you have to really think big. You have to be on the global map. And global map, to come on the global map, 2 things are important, right? One, definitely your profile, right? But more importantly is your performance. So I would really attribute to your performance, right? Whether your quality, cost, delivery performance is up to the standard of a global, in a relative term. Okay, so performance. So performance, there is no shortcut or alternate to performance. Whether it is throughput, inventory, cash, quality, delivery, cost, whatever you lead time, whatever you call it, the way you measure it. Okay, that's the first part. Second very important aspect is the opportunities. Again, I'm repeating those 3 keywords. You have to find out where the opportunities for growth, which sector, which products, which regions. That's a continuous process, right? And how do you capitalize on your performance as an opportunity to drive business growth? And third, I would say is, again, I will spell the same word, risks. How is your business flexible, susceptible? Do you have the reliable suppliers? Do you have reliable suppliers who on whom you are dependent? And well managed, well controlled. Because your supply base is going to be really viewed upon whether you are capable to supply on the export on the worldwide map, right? So again, it boils down to performance, risk mitigation, and opportunities. 3 factors. And then all those are enablers. Other things are all enablers, right? Whether you have the right technology, right people, you have the business, that's why you have the right people, right? So all those come later on. But these 3 important aspects. So be agile, resilient. Are you improving your lead times year on year? Because your customers accept 20 weeks, you are delivering with 20 weeks. But if you give it in 10 weeks, you will be able to fetch more business, right? So again, performance, risk, and opportunity.
Any other question from members? You can directly ask the question. You can unmute yourself and ask the question.
Parag, can I say something?
Yes.
Yeah, definitely. The speed is very, very important. I have been hearing in my own industry, there are a lot of pressures today on the speed. You know, the things which you are doing in, as I said, in 10 weeks, you start talking about 2 weeks. Now, I have slightly different point. Maybe one can say related or not related. Do you see, you have used word global. Just last week only we had a core committee meeting and we decided that we should talk about go global for MSMEs.
Yes. See.
So do you see the good amount of opportunities in Europe for MSMEs in India?
Absolutely. See, question is, what is happening in the European part of the world, right? Yeah. Manufacturing, right? Manufacturing is very expensive, right? True. So, and post-COVID, I'm damn sure that they will restructure here and outsource.
Okay.
Okay. So we in India have to capitalize on the opportunity. Now, that's 3 things which are very important, right? First of all, you have to be at that level, okay? At that level of performance, we talked in the earlier question, right? So performance-wise, you have to have the good cellular products. But see, my point is, how, now you talked about speed, Mohan, right? Speed is essence. But are we using speed to improve our brand value so that we get global business? See, that's where we fail. Okay, we can give from 20 weeks to 10 weeks lead time, but are we using this to promote our brand? A kind of a sales promotion, yes. Market lead times are so much, we give it to you in these lead times. How many times we are promoting ourselves? Our PPM levels are so much, relative PPM level is so much. Are we really? Because that's what is important in the global world. First of all, we have to be the best. And second, how do we promote? How do they ensure that we are quality supplier for them as per international standards, right? Answer is absolutely. In fact, you should think big, you should think global, you should come on international map, and we can discuss strategies, offline, no problem.
Great.
Great. I can give you some tips, I can give you some help, absolutely. Please think about it. That's growth.
So nice.
Have a very well-balanced portfolio of domestic and export market.
Excellent, excellent.
Absolutely.
That's.
I can tell you, Mohan, just for your for the information of audience on this call, I have some business partners in India.
Okay.
I remember, and that was a part of my job, so no hiding on that. So when I visited them, they were at $1 million or $2 million revenue. Okay.
Okay.
The same group is 100 million today. And they have and 90% is export business.
Excellent, excellent.
Right. So this happens. I mean, we have the capability in India. We have the infrastructure.
No, why I asked you, I'll just interrupt for a moment. Why I asked you, because we have a lot of people, those who are doing wonderful. They have a fantastic performance, fantastic product, fantastic technology. But as during the starting point, when Yogesh said, think like a global, act like a global, maybe we are, those things we have to really inculcate in our culture.
See, again,
given good energy that it is possible, we have good opportunities.
Absolutely. Again, Mohan, yeah, I mean, Dr. Pawar can add. I mean, in fact, he used that word. I mean, maybe Dr. Pawar can add on this. Yeah, he talked about it. Yes.
Yogesh, in fact, we do a lot of good things, as you rightly said. There are a lot of potential points with us, but we fail to, showcase it.
Correct.
We fail to brand it.
Exactly. Exactly.
Very true.
And I'm not saying that we window dress, okay? Because see what
Yeah.
happens. Let me tell you, I'm Indian by heart first, okay? Though I have now international here, Dutch nationality, etc., etc. But see, we are afraid of overcommitments. And I can tell you because, with due respect to everybody here, sometimes what happens, we try to really promote so much. That also is not good. But we have to showcase. We have to showcase with hard facts and figures. And I give you some example, right? So when you say acceptable quality of international standard, how do you define it? Either you define it through some means that, okay, we have at these ppm levels, for instance, that becomes a sizable point. Well, normally the market is on 10 ppm and these people are at 5 ppm. Example, I'm just glorifying this. But what I'm trying to say is that you showcase with facts and figures, don't window dress, and show by performance, right? So, and that's possible. People want to outsource. People want to outsource, I can tell you. Because with this cost, they can...
There's a small question here now.
Yes.
In case, these SMEs and MSMEs wish to put their success stories on a global platform. I mean, any platform or any, can you suggest something? SMEs
Yes.
should have this checklist. They should be, doing this to go global. Or, any forums or, any
Yes.
magazines or any research, you can say, portals, wherein
See,
they should be aware of or they should
yes.
be working on.
I think one of the easiest way, quickest way, and that was Rajendra sir, right, who spoke just now? Yeah. This morning a thought came to my mind, right, whether we have a portal where MSMEs can register their profiles and that is accessible in the international environment. I was just thinking loud, right? So one can be that way. We have to think about how do we create that, okay? And how do we give access so that, on that portal, the profile comes, the international quality levels, blah, blah, blah. You can just bare minimum information in terms of profile, which can attract a global customer. So that's one way of doing it. Another way of doing it is I would suggest to use LinkedIn as much as possible, because LinkedIn is definitely respected, and at least brand promotion they can start doing, on LinkedIn quickly. That's another way of doing it. But definitely, if you can think of some kind of for the Indian MSMEs through, through your institution or, something like that, if you can create a kind of a portal, database portal, talking about companies who are desirous of coming into export map, and then trying to see how we can deploy that in terms of our promotion. That can be another way of...
Is there any...
I think Dr. Yogesh will be the right person as we are developing this portal for our members.
Yes.
Dr. Yogesh will be the right person, in fact, to...
Or even that portal, yeah. If you have a portal for member, we can have one section for MSMEs interested to become global in terms of their customer base, something like that. But that would help. What happens, because today the digital environment, everybody wants to see that. Hey, do you have a list? So if you send them an Excel document and all, so, oh, these are the companies, right, who have the profile. But imagine if it is digitally available. And we can publicize, we can put that hyperlink somewhere on your site or wherever, we can have a lot of, that would be my proposal to really glorify our MSMEs. In the international.
We will come back to you because
we will discuss offline. We'll discuss solution offline.
Sir, my Palnitkar here. Can I talk something on this?
Yes, sir, please.
Yeah. Sir, actually, we have already in the process of developing such site where we can incorporate all those things. Can you give us some feedback? We will share whatever we have gone ahead and thought at our level, so that we can put more insight.
What information we should collect from our members. Which will be highlighted there, and globally, people can see that.
Yeah. See, we will discuss offline. This is a very good discussion. This is a very interesting discussion, Rajendra sir and Yogesh sir. Because see, this is, as we said, right, we want to showcase First is definitely we have to showcase, right? We have to show what we are, right? And if we can hone down to some of the basic aspects of a business in terms of people, process, technology, customers, we can think about some kind of, bullet profile which attracts the business first, and then we can share the details. That's a subsequent step, right? But the first attraction, hey, this is a company I should look for in terms of outsourcing of these needs, or this is what we can export, this product, which is used in this assembly, for instance. So think about an electronic portal, a tower, again, we can use the word tower on your site and with some hyperlinks, and that can be, one way of promoting our MSMEs.
Yes, yes.
Let us have offline. I'll give you some hints. I'll give you some.
Yeah, we will require your help. We will require your help for this.
Oh, certainly.
Yeah.
Certainly. Yeah.
So I think it's time to, take a, adieu, say goodbye to you, Parag, but goodbye for this evening. And tomorrow morning we will be, calling you, Mohan sir.
Yeah.
We both of us have a lot of work to do now.
Definitely.
But a good, pointer from Mr. Parag Devdar about Deoras, I'm sorry, about this highlighting MSMEs on a portal.
Yeah.
And it will definitely value add the members.
Yes, absolutely. No, thank you very much, sir. Thanks to the leadership team and the board members of Arise. Absolutely, it was really my privilege and honor to be with you to talk on this subject, and I hope you appreciated, the content, and I would be very happy if it is of value to our business owners. At least to steer the momentum. I understand the implementation and that part is far off, but at least the momentum, to drive.
Way to it is been shown.
Yeah, you have ignited, in fact, you have ignited us now.
You have ignited
to go global now. Yeah. And as we are creating the platform, I think this was the right, moment, right time to discuss on this, so that we can structure, we can take the information in a structured format.
Absolutely.
Which is, up to the global standards.
Yeah, in fact, as Mohan said in the beginning, I'm very passionate to, transfer this stuff to our, disciplines in India, basically. And I just wanted to give an example. I've been on the board of Council of Studies, one of the universities in Nagpur. And, we are trying to set up their collaboration, the tie-up with Technical University of Eindhoven. It is in the top 20 universities of the world. And I said, these students, when are they going to get exposure, right? So when they get ready for a corporate life after their graduation or post-graduation, if they don't have global exposure in terms of cultural traits, in terms of behavioral aspects, so why not you think big of tying up with some universities here in terms of exchange programs? And unfortunately, because of COVID, this program has now been extended now. Otherwise, we would have had the first batch this September. People going from Holland to India and India coming from India to Holland. So I think that's a very good step to share, learn, exchange. This would definitely develop the capabilities of we as entrepreneurs if we come on export map. So
Great.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you
Appreciate
for your valuable time.
Thanks.
And thanks to all the Arisans. I hope everyone enjoyed the evening. We too enjoyed. Thanks, Parag, once again. Thank you, Mohan sir, for introducing Mr. Parag to us.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
He's a value add to us, and we will take his guidance in coming times.
Thank you.
So that I'll brief you, Parag, later on about our Inspiring India movement and our event that is going to happen in 2021 that we are planning. We will brief you on that. But for this evening, thank you very much, everyone. Thanks, Parag. Thanks
a lot, everybody. Thanks for your time.
Thank you, everyone, for attending this. Thanks.
Have a nice evening. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much.
Bye.